welcome back to Libib's booktube channel. My name is Kaelyn and welcome to my fall reading wrap up. These are the books that I have read in the month of September because I had a really sad reading month in September, but October was better, so I figured I could combine the 2 months into a reading wrap up. So one of the books I read in the month of September, Space Battle Lunchtime Volume 1 by Natalie Reese, and I really enjoyed this book. It was fun. I discovered it off of NetGalley, so thank you NetGalley, and in exchange I'm giving my honest review. I ended up rating it 4 out of 5 stars, and it was this really awesome journey of our girl from Earth gets put up into this space cooking show, and it reminded me a lot of like Chopped and Hell's Kitchen and stuff like that, and I love those types of shows. So it was so exciting to read about these space adventures, and this volume came out in 2016, so I better find the second volume so I can read that and finish up that series if it finishes up after that. It leaves on a really good cliffhanger. 4 out of 5 stars. I love the characters, the art, it was fun and very enjoyable. And the last book that I read in the month of September is Warren the 13th and the All-Seeing Eye by Daniel Del Rio, and I picked this up and I read it Labor Day weekend is when I may have started it, or maybe a little bit before, but I remember reading it on my Labor Day vacation and I ended up really loving and enjoying this book. This book talks about Warren the 13th, and he's on the hunt to find this all-seeing eye and try to stop this evil ant from taking over. It has to deal with hotels, lots of cool graphic work, and it's just a fun read. This was my middle grade book that I ended up completing for the past 2 months. So yeah, the illustrations are great, the story is great. I bought the next 2 books. Hopefully I can read them soon as well. So next up are the books I read in October. The first one that I read is Fangs by Sarah Anderson, and I rated this 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. If you love vampires and werewolves, this book is gonna be perfect for you. I loved all the comics. It actually had me laughing out loud, which is something that I normally don't do when I'm reading a book, so that's why I really liked and enjoyed it. I did deduct a star because there was no storyline. It was just a bunch of comic strips kind of pieced together. And I wish there was more of a storyline, because if there was more of a storyline behind this, this could have been absolutely awesomely hilarious and I would rate it higher, but I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. Spooky, fun, and perfect for the month of October. The next book that I finally finished only took me several months. I started this book back in July, but that is The Unleashed by Daniel Vega. I love what they did with the cover change, because the first cover in this duology wasn't that good, but I love this one. This one's great. So if you have read The Haunted, it talks about, so Henrix is our main character. She is just trying to live a normal life now after what everything happened last year at the Steel House, and then some spooky weird stuff happens once again. Chaos ensues. There's also prom, so I haven't seen or read Carrie, but I know it has to deal with some sort of spooky promness, so if you're probably fans of Carrie, maybe you'll like this, but overall, I ended up rating it 3 out of 5 stars. It's the second book in a duology, and hopefully it's wrapped up and Daniel Vega can move on to a new story. This honestly wasn't as bad as the first book. I remember the first book just being not my cup of tea, and especially when I sit and think and reflect on it, I'm like, I would rate that like 2 out of 5 stars. But this one, it was all right. It did keep me entertained. There was some spooky bits, and I definitely enjoyed it more than the first one. So if you like Daniel Vega, I recommend picking up this duology. It's a good, quick read. Next up is Teen Titans Beast Boy by Kami Garcia, and I ended up rating this one, I've been wanting to give it a 3 out of 5 stars, but I think I may give it a 2.5. Yeah. Will this be my first 2-star book of the year? I think so. But this book features our main character, Garfield Logan, who is in high school, doesn't really, I mean, he has his like clique of like 2 other friends, but he isn't popular, and then he wants to try to make viral videos and be popular and be cool, and then he discovers he has these beastly powers, but I just wasn't a fan. Like, it was okay, like, it took me a while to read, which is saying a lot, because if I sit down to read a graphic novel, it's usually a day or 2 and I'm done and I move on, but this one took me, I think, about a week. I just wasn't that big of a fan of it. I definitely enjoyed Raven, the other book in this series that they're doing, way better because we get more of a backstory. We're trying to figure out what's going on. And this one is just like, we're trying to be a popularity contest and we're just trying to be cool and I have these powers and my friends don't like me right now. And so I wasn't satisfied with this graphic novel. I will be checking out the Beast Boy Raven when that comes out next January or February, but this was definitely a miss for me. Next up is Vampironica New Blood, and I loved this collection so much. It was such a great addition to what we had going on in the first couple of books, and so I was so glad to continue on with that story. However, if you've read Vampironica, awesome, but there's also a book that's kind of in between, and that is Jughead the Hunger versus Vampironica, and I would highly recommend reading this before you go into this, even though this is like the next book in the series. But this book has to deal with some of the things that happen in it's this book, and then this takes place right after this, and some of the events that are mentioned will spoil what happens in here, so I just want to let y'all know that before you dive into this one. But I really loved and enjoyed this. I loved getting to see Veronica once again and discover all these super cool things, and I like the cliffhanger at the end. I love the art, I love the story, and I hope there's more volumes to come in the future. So anyways, that is it for my fall wrap up. What books have you read recently? Let me know in the comment section down below. And anyways, that's gonna be it. It is a perfect fall day out right now, 70-degree weather, the sun is shining, and I'm just gonna go outside and read a good book and embrace the nice weather. So anyways, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time for a new bookish video.